my hidden formula to becoming rich. Hello and welcome. When I was in my 20s, I used to say to myself, I will be a millionaire by 30. When I turned 30, not only I was not a millionaire, but I was $500,000 in debt. We all have an imaginary biological clock that we have set for ourselves, or most people do. We plan our lives and set achievements that we must achieve by certain age. Mine was to be a millionaire before turning 30. I don't know what happens when you turn 30. All over a sudden you begin to feel the weight of the unaccomplished goals and the failed dreams. Instead of being happy and grateful that I was alive and healthy, I had something to eat, a place I call home, and all the things that I have been blessed with. I spent my 30th birthday going over all my mistakes and failures. I looked at my bank account, which at this point had nothing. I looked at my loans and the interests that I needed to pay, and felt desperate, sad, and angry. I had planned that I would go out in the evening after work to celebrate and hang out with my friend, but by evening I had no appetite. My head was aching and my heart felt so heavy that I couldn't breathe. A day of celebration had turned to a day of judgment and torment. There is nothing worse than self-criticism. It never stops. The mental chatter goes on and on. Every minute feeling worse than the last. You can shut the source of outside criticism. But when it's coming from you, it goes on and on until you can't bear it no more. It destroys you, or you learn to face it and work through it. I don't know why we are so critical and judgmental to ourselves. Why we are so harsh to ourselves while we show sympathy and extend grace to others. If there is one thing I usually remind myself is, never ever be your worst critic. I learned this the hard way. Not only does this destroy your self-concept of how you view and think about yourself, it also affects how you show up for yourself, your work, relationships, and consequently your achievements. You will never find a successful person with a defeated mindset. You cannot think yourself as a loser and then go on to become a winner. You cannot think lowly of yourself and go on to achieve greatness. You get or receive what you think you deserve. After my birthday, the months that followed were complete hell. Facing all the so-called failures that I thought were detrimental. With the mental chatter that never silenced. I began to think of ways to make money and make money fast. I needed to make money, pay all my debts, and be a millionaire. Within the shortest time possible. But the opportunities to do so were nowhere to be found. I would find something that seemed like an opportunity to make money, only to lose money and time in it. And this would make me feel more anxious and desperate. It wasn't until one weekend I decided something had to change. My desire to make quick money was only landing me to more financial ruin and leading me to desperation. On this weekend I recognized, making money and become a millionaire does not happen overnight. But I promised myself I would do anything and everything needed to gain financial freedom. At this point, I did not love reading. The only books I used to read was romance novels. If I had to gain financial freedom, I had to gain financial knowledge first. I had read somewhere that you first learn then you earn, so learning was a must. And second, I needed to take responsibility of my choices, to stop blaming my outside circumstances. This included blaming others for my outcome. If I felt others were responsible for my outcome, then it means they had the power to decide what I receive or could not receive. And this is the worst feeling ever. I needed to bring power back to myself. To know and feel that I was fully capable of achieving whatever I set my mind to. I needed to convince my mind the state I was in was temporary. Nothing outside me was deciding or blocking my good fortune. The only thing I needed was to fix my mindset, and boy, is it that a tough one to do. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I made an agreement to myself I would do whatever it takes, no matter how long it took. It's better to be in the journey heading somewhere, with a hope that I will arrive someday than being seated somewhere, without knowing where I am, where I'm going, or what to do next. I knew deep within me, where I was not the end. I could get out. I didn't know how, but I knew. I would find a way. I have covered my financial journey in the video of how I moved from barely making it to financial freedom. I highly recommend you watch that video as well, to get my journey in depth. Today I will cover the secret step that turned my financials around and began to see actual results. My financial journey has been one of self-awareness journey. A journey that has affected my life in ways I never thought possible. Not only has it given me financial freedom, but it has changed me as a person. In terms of the way I think and the way I do things. When I began my financial journey, I began consuming anything and everything about money. I would read books, listen to podcasts, and watch videos about wealth creation, mindset, and abundance. This began to affect my way of thinking, so I began to attract opportunities to make money. Remember, we attract things to ourselves by the virtue of thoughts that we hold within ourselves. But the sad thing was, this money could run out of my hands as quickly as it came in. I had money to spend, but nothing was changing financially. I began to understand why some people say it's easier for them to make money. Keeping it and making it grow is the issue. Money had begun to flow to me, but why did it not stick? Why was I still broke, despite making more money? I couldn't understand it. It wasn't until 3 years ago that things turned around for me. I had read somewhere that you need to be a master of your own money. You need to give money direction, to direct it, to work for you. That money is a good servant but a terrible master. I didn't know what this statement meant, but one evening a thought came to me. What if I come up with a structure of my money? A structure where I would know where every dollar goes. Before that day I would tell myself, I would start managing my money once I have lots of money. On this day, I said to myself, why not try with what I have? Be good at managing it and make it a habit. That when I have more, it would follow the same structure I have put in place, and it would make things easier for me to manage it. And so I did. On your screen, I have placed the structure that I drew that day in form of a table. That have completely changed the way I view money, the way I handle money, and even the goals I have set for money. Who would have thought the only thing I needed was to learn how to manage my money? And this would trigger something within me that I began to value money more. Instead of thinking and focusing my mind that I didn't have enough, I began to see, even though the money I had was not much, but it was doing something for me. Looking at the table, I had direction. I knew what to do. I knew where to place my money, what was a priority and what was not. I began putting money first to investment, then to debt repayment, and finally pay my bills. How amazing it felt to see the debt reducing. I had some savings, some money in investments, and paying my bills. For the first time in my life, I felt I was in charge. I did not receive money, then plan for it. I plan for it before it hits my account. Every dollar is assigned to a particular task. It doesn't matter the amount, whether it's a small amount or big amount that comes to me. It follows the same concept. Investments and savings, debt repayment, then bills. With this formula, I became more motivated to work on my side hustles. It gave me a direction. Finally, things were moving to the right direction. I used to say to myself, if I have a direction, it means I have a destination. And destination for me was financial freedom. I began to view my money as valuable, where before I struggled with impulse buying. Now, if whatever I want to spend money on doesn't fall in these category of it's going to make me happy, make me money, or teach me something, then I don't spend money on it. From one simple formula, it propelled me to height that I could only dream of. Until one day, I realized I had closed from negative to positive. My investments and assets were more than the debts. I cleared the debts, and now I only have investments, savings, and assets. If you want to know where you are going, you must know where you are, and this will give you a direction. Meaning, Know your finances. Know how much money you have and how you spend it. Have priorities in mind. Don't just spend your money. Plan for it. When you start giving your money direction, no matter how little your amount of money may be, it makes you better at managing your money. Therefore, you begin to see changes in your finances. Have a goal in mind of what it is you are trying to achieve. It's only when you know and understand yourself that you can plan for your journey well. When you understand yourself better, you plan better. I moved from someone who thought that I didn't have enough to seeing my money grow. From one small habit, it made me disciplined with money, which I didn't have before. And this made me achieve my goal. The number one principle of becoming rich is, you must be disciplined with your money. There is no big amount of money. You have heard of people who had millions if not billions and ended up poor, while others who had nothing ending up wealthy. It's not the amount you make, but how you manage it. I moved from barely making it to financial freedom through creating a system that keeps track of my money. And this formula I have given it to you for free to implement. Today, this formula has become engraved in my mind. This structure makes it easier for me to set up goals and have a clear direction of what I need to achieve. Set up a structure for your money. Don't say you will do it when you have lots of money. Learn to plan well your 2,000 so you can plan well for 20,000. I have come to the realization of no amount of money is massive. If you don't manage and give your money direction, it flows away from you never to return. People with hundreds of millions of dollars have become broke, and people with $0 have become billionaires. The only difference between these people is how they manage their money. As the saying goes, a fool with his money soon part ways. Understand where you are in your financial journey. It doesn't matter if you are in the negative, like I was. Know that you can get out. You can turn your finances around by setting up a structure around your money and learning to manage it well. Stop focusing on what you don't have and your previous mistakes and failures. Learn to put your focus in what you can actually do. That's where your power lies. Don't dwell on your past mistakes, the money you lost and the bad financial decision you made. This will only make you lose focus and feel demotivated to actually do something about your situation. There is no one wealthy today that has not made financial mistakes. In fact, you might find that they have made so many that you begin to wonder where they found the motivation to keep going. Dan Pena, a motivational speaker and a coach, once said in his talks, he is one of the people in the world who have failed most times in things that he has tried over his lifetime. And the beauty of this is, those failures did not keep him from becoming successful. So my dear viewers, it's not where you are or the past mistakes and failures that determines your future. You determine your future by the choices and actions you take consistently. That's all I had for you, my dear friends. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. See you on the next video.